down, and then when he's in the ball game, he turns around and hands off to somebody else. It would have been so easy for him to... He's a specialist at running quarterback sneaks. He's done it all year. But a big offensive line ahead of him against the suspects, some people on defense over there.
Skip Walker takes the handoff, and he gets just a yard, maybe a yard and a half. The success of the Ottawa running game last year with Skip Walker was getting him to the outside behind the blocking of guard Rudy Phillips. Well, Rudy Phillips is out of the lineup. He's injured. And the Ottawa Rough Riders have been running inside today with Skip Walker.
A guy that's been very prevalent and very... I know that the Ottawa team has been very aware of him all day is Big Mac Moore. He's almost under every pile-up out there, making the tackle.
2nd and 9. Marler with the time, throwing deep. Dwight Edwards unable to catch up with the ball.
I don't know what Dwight did there. He stopped and looked back. If he would have just kept going, the ball was thrown perfectly.
Put a good move on the corner and got open on that post flag move of his, down, fake to the inside, didn't go out, but he stopped for some reason.
He had the defender beat, just completely beat by about 10 yards, and Marler looked down there and saw it and just led him right where he should lead him.
So this brings Dean Dorsey into the ball game to attempt a field goal, 51 yards. He hit one from 46 yards out earlier. Is it long enough? It's good. So with 13:11 remaining in the game, it's now 19-17. The BC Lions in front. Dean Dorsey preparing to kick off following that 51-yard field goal. 13:11 the time remaining in the game. The Ottawa Rough Riders, who had an 11-0 first quarter lead, now trailing by 2 points. And for Dean Dorsey, that is a career best, that 51-yarder.
Well, that was a good job of kicking it right in that hole over there.
But they better get some coverage on Larry Crawford. They finally bring him down at the 38-yard line, but he got away from a number of people back at about the 25.
Sure did make some great moves. But I saw Dorsey line up there, and there was a spot right on that left sidelines there where it would have made it difficult for the inside man to get to the ball and the deep guy to get there, and he laid it right in there. But Crawford, as you say, he fielded it well, and he made about 3 or 4 good moves and improved the field position out to about the 37-yard line.
Well, it's taken most of the day, but as per the forecast, the sun is finally breaking through the haze here in Ottawa. This pass is interfered. 3 players had contact with the ball. It looked as though it was going to be deflected and then picked up.
Don, I've been saying all afternoon that Cowan just has got to have more patience. For every one of those long passes that you get down there and get to the receiver and he makes the catch on, something like this happens. And you want to see a bizarre chain of events. The ball is hit right here. It's jostled out of his hand into a would-be defender's hand there, into another would-be defender's hand there. They all 3 dropped it.
Johnson, Robinson, and Barton all had a shot at the interception. It's 2nd and 10. Incomplete, intended for Fernandez on the other side of the field. And the BC Lions will be forced into a punting situation again. Almost from the outset, Leo, you have stated that Tim Cowan has to show a little more patience, and I think you're absolutely correct.
Well, he's a good enough passer, and he's got an excellent football team around him. He doesn't have to just try to score a touchdown on every play. Well, early in the season, the BC Lions were very fortunate to be able to make some big plays, and some of those guys got some bad habits of scoring too easily.
3rd down kick will be fielded by Bruce Walker at the 25-yard line, and he goes down at that spot. Dennis Jamin was downfield to make the stop with 12:03 remaining in the game. Well, the boys in green on the far side of the field are students at Carleton University. And there are a few of them here who are providing some support for the BC Lions. The majority of the 21,280, though, cheering for the Ottawa Rough Riders. They'd like to see Dave Marler start something right now. It's picked off by Glenn Jackson. He pitches the ball out. Larry Crawford took that pitch from Jackson, and the BC Lions take over at the 23-yard line.
That was a heads-up play by Jackson, Ron.
Boy, was it ever. I mean, that play's got to hit quick. They're just going to try to hit the slot back real quick, but Jackson just steps back right underneath it. He looks like he's going to blitz, looks like he's ready for the run, but watch what happens when the ball is thrown. Right underneath it.
Watch
That's
here,
all
though.
you can do.
Watch here, though. He says, I'm not a back here. Larry, take it. And Larry said, why did you give it to me when I had some running room?
He says, it's you or me, fella.
That's right. I'll tell you, we got to give Jackson some consideration for that Carling O'Keefe game star for the defensive player. He's made several big plays out here this afternoon.
Indeed he has. There it is, Fernandez into the end zone, his third touchdown of the day.
Boy, that was a nice bit of adjustment there by the quarterback on that play.
Well, that's that same old pattern. Send Robinson out in the flat, and Fernandez just takes 2 steps upfield and slants in the middle. Wide open coming across there, and Cowan finds him. Watch him.
Watch Cowan putting the ball up to throw it.
He's covered
Bring it
right
back
there.
down, and then at the last minute, see it, boom, he pops it right in there, and he just hits him right on the dead run. Boy, that looks good in print.
Well, when you're down there and have the opportunity, you've got to get it in the end zone, and they took advantage of Jackson's interception. Didn't take them long to score either.
Fernandez now has 13 touchdowns for the season, and Pasaglia with the point after. And with 11:21 remaining in the game, it's 26-17. The BC Lions in front.
Watch old Mervin there, as you see, Ron, push him off and go to the inside. He just runs away from the cornerback. The cornerback had position to follow him to the inside, but he just ran right away from him. The ball was thrown perfectly.
Well, there's a man who certainly gets some votes for our Carling O'Keefe Offensive Game Star Award. 3 touchdowns isn't a bad afternoon's work for Mervin Fernandez.
7 catches. That's not bad. 3 of them for touchdowns. That means about 1 out of every 2 he's going to score.
And at the conclusion of the game, we'll be saluting this afternoon's Carling O'Keefe Game Stars offensively and defensively. 11:21, the time remaining, and that quick touchdown has silenced this crowd here at Lansdowne Park. When the Ottawa Rough Riders moved within 2, I think some had thoughts of an Ottawa comeback. Now they've got their work cut out as they trail by 9. Dwight Edwards finally picks it up at the 15-yard line, and he isn't going anywhere as Keith Gooch makes the tackle at the 20.
The last 2 kicks. 1 a punt and 1 a kickoff. I know from playing in Lansdowne Park in the 4th quarter, the sun becomes a problem. And that time he didn't look like he could see it because he didn't catch it on the fly. And then the punt that the Ottawa club returned a little while ago, the punt returner didn't catch it.
Well, for most of the day, it didn't look as though the sun would be a problem at all, as there was heavy fog in the Ottawa area this morning. As a matter of fact, there has been for the past couple of days, and as we mentioned earlier, that's one of the reasons the BC Lions scheduled flight from Vancouver was unable to land here and had to detour to Montreal, and then the Lions bust over. But what a beautiful day yesterday. McCrae is stopped after a gain of about 1 by Mac Moore.
Well, as you get close to the playoffs, defense is so important. The BC Lions now are using their running game a little bit more with Tualumo and people like that in there that they have to do, but the big advantage to them when the weather gets cold is that great up-front defense that they have. They're shutting off a pretty good running attack this afternoon, although Ottawa is handicapped by 2 new people at offensive guard.
Penalty flag as Marler floats it out there for Pat Stokewood to the 50-yard line, but I think it will be wiped out by holding.
Donnie Lyons was telling us before the ball game about that jamming up front, how important it is to jam. Now, Jackson was supposed to jam Stokewood that time, He stepped up to hit him, and Stoker went past him, and he went past clean. And they just didn't recover back there. And there was a big separation between he and the defender downfield. They were only playing too deep. They just got that ball right in there to him. Because if you're going to jam, you better get that job done and get it jammed on the line of scrimmage, because there's going to be a lot of separation unless you do get it done.
Second and 20. The Rough Riders from their own 11-yard line. It's picked off. Gooch steps out of bounds at the 36-yard line. So the BC Lions, leading by 9, have a great opportunity to add to their lead, and they'll try to do that when we return. Well, the way the Ottawa Rough Riders started this afternoon's ball game and jumped into that early lead, it looked as though they might take control of the game early, but the BC Lions came back, and now they are in control following this interception by Gooch.
Keith Baker, the receiver, fell down. Gooch does make the interception. He had excellent coverage on him anyway. It would have been a very tough completion, but when Baker fell down, it made the job a lot easier.
Nick Hebler's presence in that defensive line means a lot. He was putting pressure on the quarterback just before he threw the ball.
Ned Armour, close to a first down, stopped at the 26-yard line by Charles Johnson.
Now, this is the place where Cowan could come in there with his play pass fake and maybe get a cheap one here, because you can always go for it on third down.
Well, Fernandez has all the touchdowns this afternoon, but Armour has certainly made a contribution. The big catch he made when it was 11-1, and they were in a second down situation back in their own 7-yard line, and Tim Cowan uncorked a 50-yard throw to Armour, and as you said at the time, Leo, that was the play that perhaps could get the BC Lions started, and indeed it did.
Turn the corner. Right here, they've got a half a yard run. You know that with Cowan at quarterback, they can make it on third down. They've got to play pass it here.
Okay. I don't know whether they will or not. You know, I really don't. They're liable to just say, let's keep the drive going and try to take no chances. Let's run it. But it is a great spot to do it. There's no doubt about that.
He was dropping back and throwing a... What would he do that for?
Looking for Fernandez. It was picked off, but Junior Robinson was out of bounds.
Well, now you tell me why anybody would drop straight back with no deception whatsoever on a third and 1/2 a yard and try for a touchdown pass. I don't understand that.
Tries to get in that jump ball situation with McBride, but it's good coverage by Billy McBride, and the ball goes out of bounds when it's intercepted by Robinson. So Fernandez is limping again.
Let's see if Cowan, now quarterback, sneaks it. He's been doing it all year. Yeah, he's going to do it. He's got the first down.
Well, that's what he did all year in short yardage situations. He would come in with Roy DeWalt going to the bench and quarterback sneak it. By the way, we should point out it was sort of a good news, bad news week for Roy DeWalt. The bad news, of course, that he suffered a broken collarbone, but on Wednesday his wife gave birth to their second child, and we offer congratulations to the DeWalts on that great moment in their lives. Roy, I understand, had to drive his wife to the hospital. One arm,
I heard. One hand.
But he made it in time. So, Roy, congratulations.
That was a big play.
Movement at the line of scrimmage, penalty flags, and John Henry White picks up about a yard. But let's wait for the officials to sort this one out.
This could be both sides offside. Offside by the defense. That's a break for the BC Lions.
26-17, the BC Lions lead Ottawa with 8:28 remaining in the game.
Offside. Ottawa 63. First down.
Ray Harrison was offside. So that moves the ball to the 20. It will be 1st and 5 now. Ned Armour makes the catch. He was in the vicinity of the 15-yard line where he caught the ball before being driven back by Charles Johnson.
I tell you, you pointed out something before about the big play that he made in getting them out of that trouble down there by the goal line. He has caught a lot of passes today that were difficult passes to catch.
Maybe the fella in Regina who was selling the Ryder hide bags when the Saskatchewan Rough Riders were having all their problems moved over here to Ottawa.
Well, they certainly don't need him in Saskatchewan.
Don't need him in Saskatchewan. And I understand that they are expecting their biggest crowd of the year for the game against Hamilton. Over 28,000 are expected to show up at Taylor Field.
Be a noisy place tomorrow.
On first down, John Henry White has about 2 yards, and now we've got some shoving going on with Nick Hebler and Kurt Garl. Hebler into the ball game in that short yardage situation.
Baby Buns is.
Objection to conduct. Ottawa 42. First down.
Pretty good block by Hebler, number 99 in there.
That's a heck of a job blocking. Oh, there's what he
a little push in the face there by Garl.
That was a great block.
That's how angels are born.
His fourth touchdown of the day, and again he was wide open.
Well, he'd been coming on that slant, started down inside and planted that foot and went right back to the flag, and boy, was he open. Look at the separation. The defensive backs are nowhere near.
I don't know what they're doing out there, really. It's difficult to believe that at one stage of this ball game that Ottawa was leading, what, 11-0 with it?
So Mervyn Fernandez with his fourth touchdown of the game, his 14th of the season. And the BC Lions have taken total control as they have turned 2 interceptions into touchdowns. And with 7:24 remaining, they now lead 33-17.
There it was. You saw him start to that inside on that slant, and he's caught 2 touchdowns on that slant. This time he just fakes the slant and goes back outside, and no contest.
You know how satisfying it is for a guy like Fernandez, as smooth as he is, to make his break to the outside and there's nobody near him. He's going to say, if you don't break your arm, quarterback, I got 6.
Well, Fernandez now has 14 touchdowns as a receiver. Brian Kelly leads in pass receptions for touchdowns with 15, and both have an opportunity to break the CFL record of 17.
Yeah, it's not hard for Fernandez when he gets on a roll. I mean, he's beating them inside, beating them outside. It makes the job of that defensive back almost impossible. He doesn't know where to line up.
Admiral Larry runs it back to the 33-yard line. And that's where the Ottawa Rough Riders will scrimmage with 7:18 remaining in the game. I would think that Mervyn Fernandez would like to have the Ottawa Rough Riders on the schedule about a half a dozen times during the course of each season. He's now scored 6 touchdowns against the Ottawa Rough Riders in 2 games. First time they met back on August the 11th in a 34-21 BC victory. He had the 2 majors. It is picked off by Keith Gooch, his second interception of the afternoon.
And Gooch can go.
Gooch is out of bounds at the 33-yard line. Well, Mervyn Fernandez may get an opportunity for a 5th touchdown this afternoon because he's been the favorite target of quarterback Tim Cowan.
Well, Keith Baker went down, and he ran a curl pattern and tried to get Gooch to bite on it, and then he swung outside of him, but he sure didn't. The ball was underthrown, He's got, it looks like he's got behind him, but no.
Gooch goes to that
recovered.
ball real well, Ron.
He sure did.
He came down with the football, and he knows what to do. He picked up his blockers very well right here, cut back and went down the sidelines. Good blocking there from the BC team rallying. He takes the ball down to about the 33-yard line. And if he keeps that up, playing that well, Gooch will get a smooch from his girlfriend.
Donnie Taylor is bounced out of bounds at the 30-yard line. To pick up a 3, it will be 2nd and 7.
I asked Coach Matthews before the game. He's got two young Canadian, not young, but two Canadian running backs in there, Donnie Taylor and Ryan Potter. And I asked him, was it difficult to have an accommodation of two backup Canadian running backs? And he said that, boy, they both do their job, and they're both excellent on special teams, as we see George Brancato and 1,000 thoughts going through his head on the sideline. 999 of that.
Mike Williams is in at quarterback. And he'll get the first down as he runs the ball to the 22.
That was a good idea by Donnie Matthews, number one, of getting Cowan out of there because he needs him so badly. Number two, though, giving Matthews a little work because getting into the playoffs, this is the alternate quarterback that he has to go with. This guy can run a little bit.
Well, it definitely will be Tim Cowan and Mike Williams for the balance of the season, as Roy DeWalt is on the 60-day list. So he won't be back for the playoffs.
That's
for
a
the
shame.
Grey Cup game.
That is really a shame. Roy DeWalt, class guy and a great football player, and you just like to see him get a chance to be in there for the playoffs.
Ned Armour, the intended receiver, is intercepted by Charles Johnson in the end zone. And Armour makes the tackle, piggybacking Johnson down out at the 14-yard line. Make that the 18-yard line. Well, I suggested that perhaps Mervyn Fernandez might get a chance for another touchdown pass, but this one was aimed in the direction of Ned Armour.
He's got excellent cover. Johnson's got him covered. There's no doubt about it. He just goes up and takes it away. He had perfect position, then he runs it out.
The ball was intercepted, and that's not a good sign, but he's got pretty good throwing action.
Yeah, he's got a good throwing arm. Watching him down there before the game, talking to Coach Matthews about him, I know he's going to be really happy to get Williams into the ball game.
4:45 is the time left to play. Tim McRae fights his way out to the 28-yard line. 33-17 is the score in favor of the BC Lions over the Ottawa Roughriders. If you weren't with us right from the start of this afternoon's telecast, Ottawa, with J.C. Watts directing the attack, jumped into a quick 11-0 lead.
He got the screen set very well. He cuts back behind it. But, you know, he hasn't had much work today, not like he's been used to in the last 4 or 5 games.
On second down, Dave Marler keeps. He'll get the first down out to the 30-yard line. A difficult assignment for Dave Marler. We referred to the fact earlier that he has been inactive for almost 2 years. And then he comes into the ball game against the top defensive unit in the entire league.
Well, that's a challenge for anybody, let alone a guy that's been out of ball. But he hasn't played that poorly, really. It's going to help his confidence, even though it doesn't look like Ottawa's day. The BC Lions are awful tough defensively.
Well, he had a couple of passes dropped earlier that definitely hurt. This is the third one that is picked off against him. There's also a penalty flag on the play. Ed Jones comes up with the interception, but there is a penalty flag, and it is an interference call against BC.
Yeah, Baker went outside. Gooch just shoved him right out of bounds. Right in front of the official, too. I don't know if we'll see him go flying out of bounds, but you can see him over behind the photographers.
That's a good spot to make a catch. Won't count for anything, but
It looked good.
at least you got protection. Swinging it out to Tim McCray, and McCray is stopped right at the line of scrimmage. 3:04 is the time remaining here at Lansdowne Park in Ottawa as the BC Lions are in control. They lead by 16. Well, that's the time remaining here at Lansdowne Park with the BC Lions in front, and tomorrow our CBC Sports crew will move to CNE Stadium in Toronto as the Argos entertain the Calgary Stampeders, and we invite you to join us for that one on the full CBC television network. Marler dumping it off to Tim McCray, and McCray, in looking for a first down, is stopped about 3 yards short.
Don, I'm not sure about that word that you used, entertained. I don't know about the Argos going to entertain them or not, because I don't know that Calgary will be too entertained, because the Argos look awful good at this time, and Calgary are having their problems.
Well, the Calgary Stampeders coming off a rather humiliating loss on Thanksgiving Monday at Winnipeg Stadium against a red-hot Tom Clements and his Winnipeg Blue Bomber teammates. The first 5 times they had possession, they scored, you may recall.
Tommy's hot, he's hot.
All sorts of movement at the line of scrimmage, and quarterback Dave Marler dives straight ahead. Was it a legal procedure against Ottawa or offside, BC? BC protesting that they were drawn offside, but Rick Klassen's argument fall on deaf ears.
We're going to take a look and see whether there's any movement. I see that center move again there. He moved his head and his right leg.
He still had the football. He ran with the ball.
He ran a quarterback sneak. But it's
Without the quarterback.
It's really a flagrant move again by the center, though. You can't jostle, move your head, move your leg, and things like that, because the defensive line has every right in the world to move on movement.
Marler is throwing into traffic almost every time.
The way that ball was up in the air and that many jerseys, there would have been a heck of a collision. And that's about all that would have come of it. I couldn't tell whether he's throwing to Stokely or Edwards or maybe Larry Crawford.
Or maybe Andre Jones and Nelson Martin were
They were all
also
there. They say, we're going to run back here and stand. You throw it in the middle.
2nd and 10 from the 54. 2:18 is the time remaining. Trying for the catch, and he was hit by Nelson Martin, and Stokely is down.
Well, that ball's in the air about 18 yards coming down, and that safety man is back there for one reason: go to the football when it's in the air, and he got there to Stokely.
And when you're in a very vulnerable position, as you see this ball being thrown, as you reach up in the air for the ball right here, look at the vulnerable position that you're in. When you get that shoulder pad into the solar plexus at that time, boy, the air goes out in a hurry.
You get a good look at it right there. Just as the ball arrives, Martin arrives. That's when you go back and tell a quarterback you owe him one.
Stokely's a tough guy, and he'll go after that ball, and he's not going to back up from anybody, but he just got himself overextended and got that helmet and that shoulder pad right in the solar plexus.
Well, he's a graduate of Carleton University, and we saw some of those green-shirted Carleton students in the stands a little earlier.